Oh, you can give me a headphones, Abek.
Guys, when you join, please put yourself on mute. In 2 minutes, we are starting. Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to this webinar, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity titled How to Obtain a Fully Funded Scholarship. Today, we are going to be giving you tips on how you can obtain a fully funded scholarship. If you're here today, it's probably because you've been trying to study abroad and the cost is not easy, or you've applied for scholarships before and you haven't succeeded and you've been asking yourself, what? Now, today, be rest assured you get the answers to all your questions. So before we proceed to the webinar, the webinar is being organized by the 237 Development Professionals. Next slide, please. Which is a group. It's a group of Cameroonians based in Cameroon and all over the world in the field of development and humanitarian services. So the mission of the group is to provide structured guidance and career support to Cameroonians to co-create value, enterprise opportunities that positively benefit the entire community, society via shared experiences. That is who they are. So don't go anywhere. At the end of this webinar, someone is going to tell you exactly what the 2-3 professionals do, how it was created, those who the founders of it, and why it was done. So today, so as not to take much of your time, the webinar we are going to be presenting to you is titled How to Obtain a Fully Funded Scholarship. A fully funded scholarship entails fees, allowance, flight ticket, and all, you can name it. So basically you study for free. Someone is paying all of that for you. Today you listen to people who benefited from from different scholarships, share their experience. We are 6 of us today in the panelists. I am Gum Awafet, the moderator and a VLIR-UOS scholar, a 2018-2019 scholarship beneficiary. Today we have Ngasa Wise, who is a centenary scholar who will be talking to us very soon. We have Chafa Almighty, a 2015 Chevron Scholarship beneficiary. We have Kenya Odile, 2013 Commonwealth Scholar, and Mickey Gilbert, a 2019 Commonwealth Scholar. Unfortunately, we don't have Paul Ambe for Erasmus today, but he will be available in the part 2 of this webinar that is going to be happen next month. So don't keep yourself, we'll keep you updated on that. So without taking much of your time, I'll give the floor to the first speaker, Ngasa Wise, who is going to be talking about Chevron Scholarship, how you prepare long ahead of time before you actually apply for the scholarship, and when you get shortlisted, how you prepare for the interview. Wise, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Wise Zikingasa. As Faith mentioned a while back, I am a 2014 centenary scholar, and I got a chance to study at the University College London, 2013-2014 academic year on a full-time centenary scholarship. And so this afternoon, I would be sharing with you my thoughts, my perspectives about how you can develop, first, a strong profile, and secondly, how you can use this profile to prepare for a successful Chevron interview. So those are the two things I'll be talking about. But first, why is this important? Why are we talking about fully funded scholarships this afternoon or this evening? Fully funded scholarships open a door to many opportunities, I would say. It's your chance to study abroad in some of the very best universities without having to worry about finances at all. Without this, many of us would not have been able to afford the cost of studying in some of the schools that we did. The Chevron Scholarship is estimated at nearly 26 million francs CFA. That's nearly $60,000. That's a lot, as we know. It's a chance for you to grow your network, to gain exposure at an international level. And this comes with a lot of confidence, which you need to build a profile beyond the wall of school for jobs, for leadership. So it's very, very competitive, as we know, thousands of applicants each year, but only 2 to 3% are selected each time. And so we thought it was very important that we are able to share experiences, thoughts, ideas for those who are interested, not just for our friends, families, but even for our kids, so that they can start preparing at the right time. So who is eligible for a Chevron Scholarship? And these are some of the very basic criteria for which, if you do not meet them, you'll be excluded. So you would not be able to apply in the first place. But this is just the basis. You have to be a citizen of a Chevron eligible country. There's no age restriction, so anyone can apply. And just to mention that most of the countries in Africa form part of the Chevron eligible countries. Okay, you have to be willing to return home for 2 years after your studies. You have to have attained an undergraduate degree at least a second-class upper. That means a score of at least 60%. You need to have amassed at least 2 years of working experience. That's 2,800 hours of work experience. And you need to have obtained an unconditional offer to study for a master's course at a UK university. I know that my colleagues will have a chance to touch in detail on some of these points. But let me just talk a little bit more about the work experience. Chevron has made it such that it's quite flexible, that there are minimal possibilities about how you can get the 2,800 hours of work experience. Full-time, part-time, voluntary service, paid, unpaid internships count, okay, towards those 2 years of work experience. You can complete that before, during, or after your undergraduate studies. And you can combine up to 15 different employment periods to be able to make up those 2,800 hours. You are not required to resign from your current job, if you have one, to take up the scholarship. And your work experience must not be related to the course that you want to study. Although it will be very important for you in the application process to explain why that is the case, as I would be explaining shortly. So what profiles stand out? We've talked about the basic eligibility criteria, but what profiles stand out? Because thousands of persons would be able to meet those criteria, and you want to stand out to stand a chance. And I think at this juncture, there are 3 essential things that we must note. One, you have to be an emerging leader. You have to have a very strong academic background. And you have to have the ability to network and influence people locally, nationally, or globally. And when we talk about emerging leaders, this can be sometimes hard to define, but when you see emerging leaders, you know there are people that are ambitious and have a drive for excellence, high achievers, and they do not apologize for always wanting to be the best. They possess a vision for change in their communities, in the sector where they work, in the country, and for the world. Because ultimately, leadership is about solving problems. It's about adding value to the world in which we live. So these are persons that are working hard to solve a pertinent issue of our time and are inspiring others to act. It could be in education, promoting access to education. It could be around issues concerning climate change, about women's empowerment. You name it, look around you, that there are so many problems that we can work on. So you need to be an emerging leader. You need to have a strong academic background. You mentioned that you need to have an upper second class undergraduate degree. Why not a first class? And you need to have the ability to influence people and network at a global level. And I would say one way that this ability can be reflected, can be seen, is in the quality of your referees. You need to have very good references when you apply for the Chevron Scholarship. So imagine, for example, that President Obama was to send in a reference on your behalf. I'm sure that the selection panel will sit up and take note So you want that your referees are people of quality, and if you are good at networking and connecting with people at different levels, then you should be able to have some quality references, and that's why it's one of the key criteria for having a profile that stands out. Make sure that your referees know you, so that they can attest to your achievements and to your profile, but they do not have to be your relatives or your friends. Be sure to identify and reach out to them early. Do not wait for the last minute to reach out, because sometimes the best referees are people that are busy and will need time to develop a good reference for you. Be sure to follow up and ensure that the letters are properly written and that they capture your skills in leadership, in networking, all the work that you've done in giving back, and your intellectual credentials. And most importantly, be sure that the reference letter aligns with the story which you've written in your application of why you are an outstanding or a most deserving candidate. Because sometimes there are discrepancies between what a referee writes and what you've put in your application. And that can create problems for you. You do not want that. Okay, now that we have an idea about what profiles stand out, what can you do to be able to develop a strong profile? I say the work on this starts early. And some of us, we have kids, we have cousins that are still young and in school. And this is the right time for them to start preparing. That's not to say that if you've missed some of the points that we'll be mentioning, you do not stand a chance. But it's just important for us to note from a global perspective, the things you need to do to develop this strong profile. A lot of education, you need to excel. Okay, and I think this starts at as early as secondary education, the GC, and especially in our undergraduate studies. You want to excel. You want to have that first degree, that first class degree, or at least an upper second class, as we've mentioned. You need to have a vision, because without a vision, you have no idea where you're going to. Where do you want to contribute to change? And how do you want to do that? Okay, it is this vision that drives leaders. It is this vision that permits for leaders to be able to communicate about what they want to do and be able to mobilize people and the resources that they need to be able to create that change. So you must have a vision. Okay, and sometimes this is hard. It takes time for us to be able to know where exactly we want to be. For others, it's easy. For many more parties, it can be hard, myself included. But whatever the case, you need to move, you need to act, you need to lead change. You need to be working to initiate actions to fulfill that vision. You want to volunteer, you want to give back, you want to coach and mentor others, you want to network with like-minded minds and collaborate with people that are creating change to be part of that process. And in all that you do, make sure you strive for excellence without any apologies, because it's this excellence that will make you to stand out. Keep in mind that thousands of people would apply, and it's your excellence that will make you to be noticed. And when you do all of this, be sure to sell your work. A lot of people do good work, but sometimes they forget to package that and sell it. No one is going to do that for you. So you have an obligation to communicate and document the work you do and put that out so that it can be seen. And therefore, you must make a best use of social media, which I think is one of the best ways for you to share the work that you do. Use social media professionally, because you can be sure that if you are shortlisted, members of the panel are probably going to look at your Facebook page or your Twitter handle to see what you have in there. And if what they see in there aligns with what you've written in your application, then that is a plus. And I wonder if someone were to Google your name, what are they going to find? I hope it's going to be good things. And maybe I just take a few minutes to share my personal experience about how I developed my profile. And again, I was lucky enough while I was in secondary school to be surrounded by people that inspired me to start preparing early. And so I worked very hard when I was going in for the GCE O levels, and I made sure that I had all the 11 papers all at A grades, which was outstanding to say the least. And this permitted for me to develop a very strong foundation for my undergraduate studies. And again, despite sitting out for nearly 18 months before going back for undergraduate studies because of many different challenges. And I started school 3 months late on my undergraduate studies. But because of this drive for excellence, and because I knew that it was very important for me to build this strong foundation, I was still able to make it and eventually get a first class in my bachelor's degree. And in terms of vision, I've always been very passionate about leadership, about influencing young people to be change makers. And I've always been very passionate, especially about peace building, because I believe that in a world where there's no peace, where there's violence, as we see, it's very difficult for whoever you may be to be able to fulfill your dreams, because where there's violence, there's always often very little space for us to be able to express ourselves and to get work done. And so my vision has always been to work towards becoming a leader at a global level when it comes to building peace, and that's what I'm doing today. And so to contribute to developing that profile, I started very early on, and although I got my first job in the microfinance sector, I was able to start a local development organization in Cameroon called Action Foundation. And I worked with friends, colleagues, to develop a wide range of initiatives. And we are lucky enough to get financing from many, many partners, including the World Bank, UNESCO, Commonwealth Foundation, and many others. And we implemented many initiatives to promote good governance, to promote social cohesion in Cameroon, to be able to inspire young people to act on the problems of our time. And in the process, we won many, many awards, and much of this has been documented online. And if you were to Google, you'd be able to find that. And I think this left behind a trail that became very useful at the time when I decided that it was important for me to take the next step. And that next step was really about getting out there to study for a master's course. And I used that profile to prepare for my interview, and I got a Centenary Scholarship in 2013, 2014, which permitted for me to study for a master's in international development. And in the process of doing that, I made sure I searched for one of the best universities at the time, ranked number 1, University College London, as far as the course was concerned. And I think that was very instrumental in the process to make sure I get the scholarship. So again, develop a strong profile, make sure that in the process, you package that work, you document it, you sell it. Strive for excellence in everything you do, despite the difficulties that you may face, and watch out about how you present yourself online, because that is going to count. Okay, now we have an idea of what profiles count and about how you can develop that profile in a way that you can have a strong chance to get a scholarship. But that is just part of the work. When you do that, you have to be able to apply and prepare for the interview. So how do you prepare for a Chevron interview? I'm just going to highlight, for the sake of time, some few tips that you need to bear in mind when you prepare for the interview. I know that we've had other webinars that have touched on how you prepare for interviews in depth. So this is just a start, and I know we are going to have more. For me, I think the most crucial point comes back to the question of your profile. If you've put in the work over the years and you've started early to develop a very strong profile, then you have your work cut out. Because I think 50% of the work is really about developing a strong profile. The profile is a backbone for your application and for your interview. Because if you've not had that, it becomes very difficult for you to develop a good profile at the last minute. And you may be forced sometimes to want to cut corners, and your story would not sound authentic or true. So build that profile from a very early stage, and then use that profile to tell your true, unique, authentic story in the application process. Okay, if you've done that, you'd find that your vision, the work that you do in giving back, your work experiences, the course that you choose, and the university that you select to study, they would align. There would be some coherence, there will be some fit between all of these. And I think that will show, that will make you, that will make sure that you shine in the process. Okay, make sure that you review the sample interview questions. There's a lot of sample questions that you can expect to be asked online. Review those and develop sample responses to them. And you can share this with colleagues, with friends, with past scholars, and I'm sure that we'll be very glad to give you more advice about how you can improve on those. Okay, make sure that you practice. Practice makes perfect, as we say ever often, but that's only because that is true. Stand in front of the mirror and practice. You need to get used to hearing the sound of your own voice talking about yourself. Okay, you should conduct mock interviews. Get into a room with friends and let them make up a panel and interview you, so that you begin to put yourself in that mode. Okay, so that when you get into that room on that day, you'd already be familiar with that process. Okay, make sure that you master what works for you. Beware of the drawbacks of memorizing. When I prepare for interviews, I like to practice a lot, but I do not memorize. I just like to keep in mind the most important points, because when I memorize and I go into interviews, sometimes I get thrown back when I forget a line. So be sure to master what works for you. If memorizing works for you, great. If it does not, look for what works for you and practice on that basis. Show confidence in the interview process, but do not be arrogant. I think there's a difference between the two. You want to talk about your awards, you want to talk about your achievements, but do so with humility, okay? And one way to do that is to often acknowledge the support of mentors, of those that helped you to do the work that you did. When you get into the room, do not sit, wait to be asked to sit down before you do so, because that demonstrates that you understand some of the basic rules of etiquette. A few other tips: make sure that your passion and your attitude shows in the interview. Okay, if you come to the interview and you want to stand out, but you cannot show that passion, you cannot demonstrate why the scholarship is very important to you, the panel would not take you seriously. So make sure you bring your passion and your attitude to the interview. Okay, talk about the stories and the things that are important to you. Okay, if you lost, for example, a close one to HIV/AIDS, maybe that inspired you to action, please share that story with the panel. Okay, panels love hearing stories about how what inspires us and how we move to implement the actions that we do. Okay, again, be sure to share your unique, authentic story in the process. And if you've put in the work to develop a strong profile, then that would be easier to do. Be sure to have many examples of how you've been a leader, of how you've led change, of your dreams, because most of the questions would revolve around this. And when you have examples, when you have stories to demonstrate that, it's more authentic and it's easier for you to connect with the panel. Keep in mind that financial need or desperation is not a good reason, because most of those that apply are in need of finances. So that would not be a good reason. You don't want to talk a lot about that. Listen, answer the questions that are being asked. This seems very simple, but you'll be surprised at how often sometimes candidates do not answer the question that is being asked. Observe the panel for clues and for cues. Okay, during the interview process, often members of the panel will be watching out, and sometimes they'll note and they'll give indications about whether you're on the right track, and you have to observe for those. Sometimes candidates keep talking and ramble on for too long. And sometimes—
Sorry to cut you, Wise. You have 2 minutes to wrap up. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good, almost at the end. I was just saying that it's very important for you to watch out for the clues and the cues from the panel. So if, for example, you're answering a question and you've gone on for too long, sometimes the panel will say, oh, that's good enough, okay, let's move to the next one. But sometimes candidates will keep talking, and that's not often a good sign. So watch out, be observant as you answer the questions. It's always very good to start in a very strong way, okay? There's often the famous question of tell us about yourself. And for me, I think this is a dream question. It's a chance for you to sell yourself, okay? When you're asked this question at the start, please do not be not shy about talking about your achievements, about your vision, about your commitment and your passion towards contributing to change, and about why you think you are the best candidate, okay? And you want to close with a bang. Okay, why you want to start very strong, to leave that first impression, which counts very much. You also want to close with a bang because you want to leave the panel with something to remember about you. I remember in my interview that I told the panel that even if it so happens that I'm not the most accomplished professionally or otherwise, I was very certain that I was going to be the best candidate. I was going to be very hardworking. I was going to burn the midnight candle to make sure that I made the best use of that opportunity. And I could see that the panel was very happy about that frankness and that attitude that I brought to the interview. So Faith, maybe I'll stop there for now, and I'll be glad to come back later on when we talk, when we have a chance to take some questions from participants.
Thank you very much, Wise. Thank you so much for that presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening. I hope you've listened to what he said. Please keep your questions coming. At the end of the presentations, we have a question and answer session. If by the time we finish all the presentations, we haven't answered your questions, then we'll answer your questions. So just keep typing them in the chat box. If you're on Facebook or on Zoom, just keep typing your questions. We'll get to them at the end of it. So like Wise was saying, he said you should prepare way ahead of time. And guys, you need to take your social media profile seriously. I'll give you a little experience I had. When I applied for Chevron back in 2017, I was shortlisted for the interview. I never knew you had to have an online profile, prepare well ahead of time to have a winning profile, like Wise just said. To my utmost surprise, during the interview process, I was asked my Facebook name. And there and then they searched me and I was asked, why is it that on your Facebook page, we can't see any of the achievements you said you've been doing over the years as you wrote in your essay? That was one question I wasn't prepared for. And believe me, I stammered through that question. And in my head, I'm 100% sure that's the reason why I didn't get that scholarship. So ladies and gentlemen, we are not just talking here for the sake of talking. Prepare your profile way ahead of time. Don't go, you're free to post your social life, but then remember, Chevron is looking for brand ambassadors. So whatever you do, try to put it on social media so people can get to see your work. Don't just wait for the last minute. So now we've heard about how to prepare your profile, have a winning profile way ahead of time before applying. Now, we've heard about how to go through the interview process, but before you go through the interview process, you need to apply for Chevron and get shortlisted. So how do you apply for Chevron? What do you need to do? When do you apply for it? Our next speaker, Almighty, who is a Chevron scholar, will now be telling us the whole process of applying for a Chevron scholarship. How you write your essays, what Chevron is all about, what they can sponsor, and what Chevron doesn't sponsor. Almighty, you have the floor, ready to go.
Thank you very much, Faith. Wise, please, could you kindly stop sharing your slides? Thank you. You just give me a few minutes, please. Let me get my slides up.
While Almighty is getting her slides ready, all the other panelists, please, can you get your slides ready? So when it's your turn, we don't have to wait. Odile, you're next after Almighty. She seems to be having issue. Almighty, are you ready?
No, please. Wise, please, can I use your slide share, please?
Sure,
please
just a moment.
Project your slides and you do the slides movements for me, please. Okay, thank you very much, Wise. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Faith, once more, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Chafak Almighty, and I'm a 2015 Chevron Scholar. Slide, please. Slide. So I think there's one thing that we should know, which is very important. I'm always very particular about figures, about numbers. In the academic year 2020-2021, Chevron received about 53,000 applications from its applicants. And of that number, just about 1,700 were selected for the scholarship. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this presentation, we're going to look at the timeline, we're going to look at IELTS, we're going to look at how to choose our universities and our courses, and we're going to look at the core of the Chevron application, which are the 4 A's. Next, please. So as far as the chevening timeline is concerned, slide please. As far as the chevening timeline is concerned, it takes about a full year, slide. It takes about a full year for us to be able to go through the chevening timeline. So right now, as we speak, the chevening application cycle is open. It opened on the 3rd of August, and that is going to run until the successful applicants begin their master's programs between September and October 2022. So it's a one-year process, and it shows the amount of resilience which goes into it. It shows the amount of screening which goes into the chevening application process. And therefore, it's important that as you embark on your chevening journey from now, it's important to remain patient, to remain resilient. Do not resign from your job. Even if you get to the stage where you're being invited for interview, do not resign from your job. Do not stop whatever activities you're carrying out. Just continue those activities until you eventually get to the end of the process, which will be you actually getting your visa and traveling to the UK to be able to begin your studies. Next. One of the things which we need for the chevening is the IELTS. And here it's advisable to take the academic IELTS because it's required by chevening. It's one of the requirements. When you eventually get your conditional offer of sponsorship from chevening, you're going to be asked to provide your IELTS results. Your universities are going to require IELTS as one of the conditions. So with your university applications, which I hope all of us are doing right now, one of the things which will be required after you get your conditional offer of admission will be your English language results. Your visa application will equally require that you have an IELTS result. And usually the minimum overall is a 6.5 score, while having a 5.5 in each of the components. The IELTS exams has different components. It has listening comprehension, it has a spoken component, it has reading comprehension, it has the writing component. So in each of those components, you're supposed to have a minimum of a 5.5 and have an overall score of 6.5. Currently, the IELTS exam in Cameroon is at about 162,000 francs. You can take in Yaoundé or in Douala. And for candidates who are successful, usually when you're traveling to the UK, you're being reimbursed the 162,000 francs which is spent for your IELTS. So it's not just always that. And it's advisable to book your test well in advance. For example, for me, when I was doing IELTS, I actually did because I was very busy, and a lot of us are caught up and very busy in our different activities. I actually just realized that I had a speaking exam 2 days before that speaking test, because the speaking test is usually done, and a few weeks later you have the other components. I realized just 2 days before. Fortunately for me, I would say I prepared all my life for IELTS because I love reading, and I was in an environment where I always had to write. And therefore, it was some sort of preparation for me. So I didn't really have to stress. But again, these are things which could happen to you. It could happen to anybody. It's always good to be very vigilant when you've registered for an exam and you have to take that exam. Slide, please. As far as applications for the Chevening Scholarship are concerned, you have to choose 3 universities and 3 courses. Not necessarily 3 universities, actually. You're supposed to choose 3 similar courses in the same university or in different universities. It's usually advisable not to choose all your 3 courses in the same universities in order to spread your chances of being accepted. I have come across people who've had the Chevening Scholarship and not had a course, an admission to be able to go and study using that sponsorship. So it's very important to take note of this. And your 3 courses, you could decide to choose 2 courses in one university and choose 1 course in another university. And it's important to note 3 similar courses. 3 similar courses because here you have a particular career plan. You have a particular background. There's somewhere you're coming from and there's somewhere you're going to in terms of your goals, in terms of your vision. And it will be a bit confusing and you will look like you're not coherent if you choose 3 courses which are very separate. Imagine someone choosing a course in, here I'll just take a very hypothetical example. Imagine someone choosing a course in medicine and choosing another course in English literature, for example. Those are 2 extremes. However, it is important that you are able to choose courses which actually show that you've given thoughts to the courses you've chosen, which show that you actually understand where you're going to, where you want to be in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, and you understand the importance of the Chevening Scholarship on that journey you're embarking. And it's equally important to be able to read your course contents thoroughly before choosing a course. With courses abroad, especially with courses in the UK, you always have excessive information. Go to the course page, read, there's always a course outline, there's always expected outcomes, there are always modes of delivery. What are the other things that come with the courses? Sometimes there are placements, sometimes you have the possibility of taking part in research grants, sometimes you have the possibility of taking part in certain extracurricular activities which open you up to a whole professional world. All of those things are on the website. Take your time to read all of this to help you. Do not just look at the course title and choose a course from the course title. Because again, there's one thing I would like to say. Despite the fact that these academic institutions know that there's equally a marketing aspect to it. So when you read a course title, please get to the course page and read it very, very closely in order to make sure that the course content does align with your future career goals. Slides, please. Now, what courses are eligible for this Chevron Scholarship? In the UK, certain academic years begin in January, others begin in April, while others begin in September or in October. So whatever course you choose, that course should begin in September or in October. It should be a taught master's course, not an MRS. The difference between a taught master's course and an MRS is the fact that a taught master's course has scheduled and programmed sit-in courses where you actually sit and you go through workshops, you go through seminars, and you are taught. It's more of a taught program. While an MRS is more of independent research. For most people who do MRS programs are those who are looking more towards doing research, maybe pursuing a career in research or eventually doing a PhD. So the Chevron Scholarship sponsors taught master's courses, not MRS courses. And whatever course you choose to do in the UK should lead to a master's degree qualification. Again, read the qualification that every course you've looked at on the internet leads to. It's always written there, and the course must be based in the United Kingdom. Slide, please. Slide. So I'm going to talk about the ACEs right now. And if you look at this Chevron Scholar, this 2018 Cameroon Chevron Scholar, if you look at her pose, it's a reflection of confidence. And that is what our essays should radiate when the panel reads those essays. The key word is to sell yourself. Slide, please, is to sell yourself. What is your unique sales point? Step back, please. What is your unique sales point? Your unique sales point is what makes you different from other people. And I'll use myself an example. I have I would say have a bit of a rare background. I'm a trained journalist and a communication specialist actually, but I'm a public health professional as well. When I went in to apply for the Chevron Scholarship, I'd worked with Population Services International, which in Cameroon is represented by ACMS. If you think of Sample Sanction, you think of female condoms, male condoms, that is ACMS. So, and when I worked with ACMS, I first started I coordinated the female condom project in the Southwest region. I was a pioneer, a project supervisor for that project in the Southwest region. And that is where I got my interest in public health. And ACMS is a social marketing organization. Social marketing simply means you use marketing techniques for behavior change. And I knew that it was a field which was relatively rare in Cameroon and in Africa. It wasn't as frequent as commercial marketing. And I knew that was my unique selling point. I got interested in public health, and coming from a communication background, I wanted to pursue a career in public health. And I knew that my social marketing background was my unique selling point, and I used it. It's important to be able to sit and think about what makes you different from the others. What are some of your proudest professional accomplishments? What are some of the things that you've done that you think that could easily sell to you? My colleague before me, the presenter before me just said the Chevron Scholarship is worth 26 million CFA. what is it that you have to sell that will be bought at 26 million francs? Slide, please. So there are usually 4 essays. There are usually 4 essays. And the essays are on leadership, networking, the choice of courses, and future career plans. And this is the crux of the Chevron Scholarship, as well as the crux of other scholarships that you're going to apply for. I'll talk about, let me begin with the leadership question. When you're answering your leadership question, it's important to be able to clearly state, demonstrate, because the question clearly asks you to demonstrate your ability or your potential to lead. And you're supposed to demonstrate that through clear examples. It is important to note here that just occupying a particular role in itself is not sufficient to demonstrate your ability to lead or your ability to influence. For example, if you say you're the principal of Government Bilingual High School Moliko, how does that make you a leader? What have you done as a principal of Government Bilingual High School Moliko that shows that you have an ability to influence those around you or your community? And note here that your community can be any community. It can be your community of colleagues, it can be a community of students around you, it can be your online community, it can be your offline community. Give clear examples and link them to your future career plans. I was working on the field, I was working on the Female Condom Project. I was training community-based organizations and hairdressing salons and encouraging them to do community sensitization to train women and men on the correct use of the female condom. And here I wanted to read a Master's of Art in Public Health. And what was my future plan? I wanted to develop a social franchise to meet the contraceptive needs of people with physical disabilities. So you see how what I was doing currently, what I wanted to read, and my future career plans aligned, and that is what that's what's important to be able to demonstrate. I was being able to lead this change in the southwest region of Cameroon, which demonstrated that I had the ability to be able to influence and lead change in other sectors as well. So it's important to be able to demonstrate your efforts. Sometimes in achieving particular goals is team effort, or many times it's team effort. Even when it is team effort, you should be able to clearly demonstrate your role in that team effort. Because in a team, every team member has his or her own role. As far as the networking essay is concerned, it is important that you should note that with networking, you're talking about how you've been able to initiate, to sustain networks, and how you've been able to use those networks for impact. So it's not just about joining a social media group, for example, or just joining a group, for example. It's about how you've been able to use that relationship for professional impact and even for personal growth. These days, we have a lot of people on social media, for example, who have 10,000 followers, 15,000 followers. It's great to have followers, but how do you manage those followers? How do you network with those followers? Sometimes we meet people on social media and we connect with them. How do we sustain those relationships? I'll give you a few tips. You might read their posts and comments. You might share with them. If they have anniversaries, you contact them, send them emails. Sometimes you meet these people at professional offline events, or sometimes you meet them at social offline events and you realize that you have the same visions or you have the same interests. Having the same interest doesn't necessarily mean you agree, even if you may not agree, but the fact that you have the same interest means that you can actually pursue that relationship, sustain that relationship through constant or periodic communication. This is very important. Many times want to define what networking is in our essays. Is okay, but you can use like maybe 1 or 2 lines to define what networking is according to you. However, note that when you do that definition, it should not take most of your essays. Go ahead to demonstrate.
Hello, Mighty, are you there? We seem to have lost you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, is
Yes,
that okay? What's the last thing? Okay.
I can
So
hear
can I
you.
go ahead, please? Okay. So assuming that everybody is hearing me, so in networking, you have to demonstrate how you've been able to sustain those relationships and what impact you've been able to get from those relationships. As far as studying in the UK is concerned, here coherence, like coherence in all your other essays, is very important. You're supposed to have distinct paragraphs discussing your chosen courses. You're supposed to choose 3 courses in order of importance. Focus on the study outcomes with the evidence that you have done your homework. Do not go to the websites and go and copy portions from the website and put on your essays. Read those essays and link them to your future career plans. And each chosen course and university should have a paragraph on its own. Do not copy and paste promotional material, because that will come out very clearly to the readers when they are reading. Demonstrate an understanding of your field. It's very important to read, and demonstrate an understanding of your field, such that you're able to link whatever has been written on that course page to where you are and to where you want to be in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. As far as your career plan is concerned, and I would say in my 5 years of reading Chevron scholarships, this has been one of the most difficult essays so far that candidates find difficult to actually properly articulate. So the strongest responses, which will pass well for your career plan, would have to be very specific and concrete. You're supposed to have a very concrete goal. In my case, like I said, I wanted to start a social franchise to meet the contraceptive needs of people with physical disabilities. It was clear what I wanted. How was the Chevron Scholarship going to help me achieve this? I wanted to do a Master's of Arts in Public Health because I needed the know-how in health promotion and other public health areas to be able to enable me properly implement this dream of mine. It was very clear in my mind what I wanted. So it is important to demonstrate clearly where you're going to. What is the role of the Chevron Scholarship in you wanting to attain that dream? Because if the Chevron Scholarship is not going to help you, why should they spend 26 million CFA on you if it's not going to take you to the next level? Again, in writing the career plan, there are some candidates who say they want to do a PhD. Saying you want to do a PhD in itself is not a bad idea. But again, you're supposed to demonstrate, you're supposed to give appropriate backing as to how your PhD research is going to advance your career goals. You want to do a PhD after your master's? How is that going to advance your career goals? How is that going to improve on your community? How is that going to contribute to your long-term plans? Ladies and gentlemen, again, the Chevron Scholarship, like other scholarships, is about impact. It's about what you're able to do. They're looking for unique individuals with unique skills and the ability to move our communities ahead. And in order to be able to show that you're unique, in order to be able to go through that interview and be the 3% and be among the 1,700 candidates chosen out of the 50,000 applicants they receive, identify your unique selling points and sell yourself. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. So this brings me to the end of my own presentation, and thank you very much. These are just a few highlights. Slide, please. These are just a few highlights from my Chevron year, and that is it. I wish you all the best in your essays.
Thank you so much, Almighty, for that wonderful presentation. So listening to Almighty, the take home is your essay needs to be strong. Like Y said, Chevron spends over about 26 million francs CFA. That's a lot of money. So when writing your essays, make sure you have it at the back of your mind that you're writing a project that someone needs to sponsor. That is the first thing the scholarship board evaluates you on. They don't know you. So even before you come to the interview and tell them, showcase yourself, sell yourself, start by doing that on your essay. Have a powerful essay. You have a clear career path that you want to follow. Tie your past experience to why you want to study the course and how it will improve in how you become a leader, an actor of change when you get that experience. So as you can see, Chevron is not one of those scholarships. You just wake up in the middle of the night one day and you say, oh, it's the season. Chevron is out. I should apply, and you apply. No, it takes time to prepare and look for your universities way ahead of time and apply. You don't want to get a scholarship and you don't get a school to study with. I doubt if Chevron will be willing to defer your scholarship to the next year. So apply for your schools. They should be similar, not separate courses like Almighty said. So I don't want to repeat all of what Almighty said. Keep your questions coming, guys. We'll take them at the end of the session. Now we've heard about Chevron Scholarship. We are going to move away from Chevron Scholarship and talk about Commonwealth Scholarship, which is also one of the popular scholarships we know about in Cameroon and Africa. So our next speaker is going to talk about how to apply for and get a Commonwealth Scholarship for master's degrees. And she's also going to debunk some of the myths and hearsays that are popular, especially in Cameroon, about the nominating agencies in with regards to Commonwealth Scholarship. So now I'll give the floor over to Kaya Odile, who is a Commonwealth Scholar 2021 Scholar. Sorry, I said 2023 in the first time. So, Odile, where are you? You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. All right, I'm just going to share my slides, please. Just bear with me. Okay, can everyone see my slide? Okay.
Yes, we can,
Yes,
but
we
it's
can
not on
see.
slideshow.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much to Wise and Almighty, to all those who are joining us now. Welcome and thank you so much for being present. So I'm Odile Kwaye and I'm a current scholar, Commonwealth scholar studying in the UK. So I'm studying conflict, security and development at the University of Exeter in the UK. So today I'm going to be talking to you all about the Commonwealth Scholarship in the UK. So basically, I would like to run us through what I'll be talking about. So I'm just going to briefly tell us about the types of scholarships being funded by the Commonwealth Commission. And then I'm also going to highlight.
Sorry, Odile, please,
yes?
can you put your slides on slideshow? If possible. Participants, please, can you turn off your video and mute your audios? So only the panelists have their videos on. Are you able to do it on slideshow?
No.
Okay. If you can't, maybe you can present the way it is there.
You can click.
Or do you want someone
enable
else to share for you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Wise, please, can you share for Odile?
No, let me do that, please.
Okay, Jim is going to do that. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. So you need to stop sharing your screen, Odile, for
Okay.
Jim to start sharing his. Jimmy, is everything okay? Yeah, waiting on you.
Yes, I'm doing that. Maybe I'll defer to Wise, please.
Wise, please, can you just salvage the situation?
Thanks,
no
you've been
problem at all.
sharing this. Thank you.
Just waiting for Jimmy to stop sharing the screen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming to my rescue. So as I was saying, a brief rundown of what I'll be talking about today. So I'll like to talk about, I'll pay particular focus on the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, but I'm just gonna run through briefly on the other types of scholarships being funded by the Scholarship Commission. And then I'm also going to talk about the impact statement and how to answer your essay questions. Next, I'm just also going to talk about the nominating agencies and the key aspects and what you should retain when applying for a Commonwealth Master Scholarship. And finally, I'm going to debunk some of the myths about Commonwealth Master Scholarship and scholarships in general for those who are in Cameroon. And also I've shared, at the end of the slide, I've shared a string of useful links on how to stay connected and on how to get more information. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned earlier, so there are several types of scholarships being funded by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. We have the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, which is what I was awarded last year. And we also have the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. So basically the two scholarships, the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship and the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship are the same. The only difference is that the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship is co-sponsored by your host university and the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, whereas the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, which is what I'm currently studying on, is being fully sponsored by the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. We also have the Commonwealth PhD Scholarship, which my colleague, the next panelist, is going to talk about. And in all, it's just, I don't want to talk much. I just want to say that the purpose, just like the Chevron, the purpose of all of these scholarships, funded scholarship, is just to attract talented and motivated individuals to gain skills for sustainable development and, you know, to move their communities back home ahead. Next slide, please. So before I dive into the essay part, I just want to reiterate that for the application process into UK universities is the same as those which Almighty has highlighted. So I will not go back to that. So if you want to know more, please just review what she said and the links she would have shared after this slide. You'll get to know more about, because the basic eligibility conditions are the same on how to get an admission into any UK university. So I will just move straight forward to the Commonwealth Master Scholarship essay, what we know, what is commonly referred to as the impact statement. So before you even want to begin answering the questions, or before you even want to attempt the questions, always very important for you to go through the questions. You want to skim through the questions in order to have an understanding on the length of questions. You want to know, you know, the types of references needed. You also want to know, you know, how the questions are structured and everything. It's very important, you know, because it's going to help you plan and give yourself enough time to proofread and review your whole application package. So over to the essay in question now. So basically with the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, we have what we call the 6 thematic areas, which are listed below. So this is very important. If you're applying for the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, this is your working tool. You want to make sure that whatever course you're choosing or whatever course you want to study in any UK university aligns with each of these thematic areas. So for instance, if you want to study, let's say, for instance, you want to study peace, conflict, and security, which is what I'm studying, you wouldn't want to go choose a thematic area in science and technology for development because there's no correlation. So you want to make sure you align your thematic area to what you're studying. And just like what Almighty said, do your research, know the relevance of the course you're studying, know the qualification of what you're studying and the impact. And you want to also relate your thematic area back to your development, your country's development agenda and the visions of your country. So you want to be very careful. You want to be very keen when choosing a specific thematic course. Next slide, please. Now, how is the essay structure? This is very important. Yeah, it varies a little bit from the Chevron guys. With the Commonwealth Masters in particular, the impact statement, the impact development statement is structured into 4 parts. So the first part is more about a development issue. The first, yeah?
Yes. We went there then, they said.
The first part.
Please, if you're not presenting, mute your mic, please. Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's all right. So like I was saying, the first part of your essay is divided, it basically talks about a development issue. So yeah, the selection committee wants to know, they want to see your ability, your aptitude on how to approach a development issue. So what they'll do is usually they always get like a particular sustainable development goal, and then they give you a situation, a context, and they ask you to analyze and bring out the relevance and how you attempt to approach to bring about a specific change to your community back home, or maybe at the level of at the regional level or at the global level. So just know that the first part of the impact statement, it's more on a development issue. Then the second and the third part of your impact statement is basically about you. Yeah, the Commonwealth Commission, they want to know more about you. They want to know more about your skills. They want to know more about your expectations. They want to know more about your career plans. So you want to be very specific, and you want to use examples also when talking about your skills and when talking about your career plans. So I wouldn't dive much into that because Almighty had already, expatiated on that. Also, then the last part of the impact statement is about the relevance. Yeah, you don't just want to talk about your skills, and you don't just want to talk about your career plans. Yeah, how relevant is it? How relevant is it to your country? How relevant is it to, to Commonwealth Commission itself? Remember, the Commonwealth Scholarship does not just fund you to go study a master's, a third master's in the UK. They are there, they are investing in you, they are investing in your future, they're investing in your community. So be very, when you're talking about relevance, always try to link your relevance into like your personal and at the global level. So they're going to rate you, they're going to rate and match your aspirations in line with their own aspirations, and also in line with the CSC team you chose, and also in line with particular sustainable development goals you highlighted as well. So in all, you want to give yourself enough time to prepare to write your impact statement. Like I said, the development impact statement is divided into 4 parts. The first part is on a development issue, and which is always linked back to a sustainable development goal. The second and the third parts are linked to yourself. They want to know about your skills. And then the last part is all about relevance of what you're doing, what you're studying, and how it's going to impact your community when you return home. Next slide, please. Thank you. So on to the next part of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about the nominating bodies. So the Commonwealth Master Scholarship selection is in 2 phases. So unlike the Chevron, which is more direct, with Commonwealth Masters, you have to go through a nominating agency first, or a nominating body. So for instance, in Cameroon, we have, you can choose to go for either the Ministry of Higher Education as your nominating agency, or you can choose to go with a non-governmental organization as your nominating agency. So I personally, when I was applying for the Commonwealth Master Scholarship, I chose the Ministry of Higher Education in Yaoundé. So I, compiled all my documents and deposited it. So they do the pre-selection. And remember, guys, if the fact that the ministry or the non-governmental organization pre-selects you or shortlists you doesn't mean that you've automatically been awarded the scholarship. So be mindful about that. The final selection comes from the UK itself, from the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. They are the ones who do the final selection. And also, this is very important. When submitting your application to your nominating agency, you want to make sure whatever course you're applying, matches the agenda, the development agenda, and the visions of your country. This is very important because, let's say, for instance, the ministry, they have to sit and select, and they realize that you probably went and chose a course that does not really fit maybe with their strategic development plans or goals. They're not going to select you, not because you're not deserving, but because it's not relevant at the moment. So you want to first of all make sure that you align whatever study plans and everything in line with the national objectives. And then for those who choose to go for the NGO as their nominating bodies, you may want to go for the Highly Access Network, and we also have the Forum for African Women Educationalists, that's the FAWE. So for those who are not Cameroonians, I would like to request that please do refer with your country, check the eligibility conditions and criteria of Commonwealth Office. I think they're on their website, they always give the specific nominating agencies per countries. So you want to check, please. You also want to make sure your supporting documents are intact. And when filling your application, please, guys, please be very careful. Do not make assumptions. If Commonwealth asks you for a particular document, or if you feel like you need to declare a particular information, just be very honest about it. Because as soon as they realize some discrepancies, just as Wise said in the beginning, specifically with your references, you're just going to get disqualified. So I'll share with you a small experience I had when I applied for the Commonwealth Master Scholarship the first time. So my referee, like, I didn't really follow up on him. So unfortunately, the story he said about me in my recommendation letter, wasn't in alignation with what I actually completed in my application portal. So, and this caused some discrepancies. So you want to make sure you follow up with your referee. You want to make sure you know exactly what he's talking about and everything. So, and finally, I'm just gonna drill us through to a few takeaways. Just like the previous panelists have mentioned, planning is everything. You want to plan, to apply for admission in any UK university. You want to plan to even begin answering your essay questions and coming out with your impact statement. You want to plan, to compile your documents and supporting documents to submit to your nominating agencies. Like, planning is key. You need a lot of planning. You need to be very proactive. The second key takeaway is do not make assumptions. Like I always keep telling my younger ones and those I'm mentoring at the moment, I tell them that I knew no one at the ministry when I was depositing my application. So I simply just went through the whole application portal and all the information and instructions, and I went and deposited. So sometimes you just need to follow your guts, follow the right instructions and deposit, and let your God save you. So, and then also avoid liaises that we already know, and then liaise with former and current scholars if possible. It's very important for you to be in contact with them because they are there to help you, they are there to drill you, they are there to fill up certain gaps which you might be lacking in. And finally, if your application was unsuccessful, do not despair. We all went through that process, but we finally made it. So in all, I'm proud to be a Commonwealth Master Scholars, and I can't wait to welcome those of you who are yet to join us on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Odile, for that wonderful presentation. And here are some useful links she shared. So now we are going to take a break. We've been talking for over 1 hour, so we'll take a 5-minute musical break. Stretch your legs. Fun Bliss, please, can you mute? Fun Bellies, please, can you mute? Thank you. So we are going to have a 5-minute musical break to stretch our muscles, move around, get a coffee, get a cup of tea, get a glass of water, and then we come back with our pens and papers to hear more about the Commonwealth Scholarship. So we are going to be playing music by one of the members of 237 Development Professionals, but the 237 Development Professionals do not own exclusive rights to this music. So now we are just going to listen and dance around if you want. Do anything that relaxes you for the next 5 minutes and come back for more interesting presentations. Sound, please. Sound. Why I can't hear the sound? Why I can't hear the sound? I can see the video, but we can't hear the sound. Jim, can you please help? 5 minutes will soon be over. Wake up and stretch, even if you can't hear the sound. Assume you're hearing the sound in your head.
Please, why stop sharing? Kindly stop sharing and reshare with sound. It needs to pick the sound from your Zoom platform, please. You need to stop sharing. Then when you're sharing, you share with sound.
I should stop the music.
Yes, you stop the music, you stop sharing, then you reshare again. But when resharing now, you will see on the left bottom part of your Zoom platform, you will see share sound. You click on that, then you click on share. Button, thank you.
Tu es mon espoir, ma joie et foi dans la vie. Tu es mon soleil qui brille dans le ciel. Tu es mon étoile, Cameroun, Cameroun, mon pays. Cameroun, mon pays, en te survolant, tu me laisses voir ta beauté splendide, à travers tes savans, tes forêts, ton Sahel, le tir de ta jolie côte. À Limbé, à Kribi, à Douala, Kribi en passant par Douala, je survole au-dessus du golfe de Guinée. Cameroun, mon beau pays, tu m'offres voir ta beauté splendide dans toute sa diversité à travers ton Sahel. Cameroun, mon pays, Cameroun, ma patrie, ouais, 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 ouais. Cameroun, ma forteresse. Cameroun, Cameroun, ma joie, foi dans la vie. Yeah, 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 yeah. Tu es ma lumière qui pourfend la nuit. Tu es mon espoir, ma joie et foi dans la vie. Soleil qui brille dans le ciel, tu es mon étoile, Cameroun, Cameroun, mon pays.
Thank you, Wise. Thank you so much for that musical break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on our webinar, How to Get a Fully Funded Scholarship. So if you're joining, if you just joined or you joined halfway, we've spoken about Chevron Scholarship, how to prepare your profile way ahead of time, how to apply the process, the tiny things that we usually ignore that actually matters the most, how to write a winning essay, when you get shortlisted, how you prepare for your interviews so you can score great points, because not everyone shortlisted ends up getting the scholarship. Then we moved on to talk about Commonwealth Scholarship, talk about the Master Scholarship. So now we are going to talk about Commonwealth PhD scholarships, the application process. For those of you who are interested in, for one, I'm sure I'm interested in this one, so I'm going to take my pen and paper and start taking notes. So now we have Mickey Gilbert, who is a Chevron 2012 Chevron scholar and a 2019 Commonwealth scholar. This guy has lots of experience getting scholarship. So now we need to tap into his brain and get some useful info. Mickey, if you're ready, you can start with your presentation, Commonwealth PhD Scholarship, how to apply and get the scholarship. Getting it right the first time. Mickey, are you ready?
Yes, Faith, thank you so much for the unique opportunity. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Claire.
Yes,
lovely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my perspective on the application process. I particularly style my presentation, getting it right the first time, maybe drawing inspiration from my own process that I've been able to go through the Chevron Scholarship and the Commonwealth Scholarship all at the first time. And I think it's not just for Mickey, it can be applicable to everyone. The Commonwealth Scholarship, I will briefly say, if you are planning to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship, you are actually planning to join a community of over 35,000 alumni. The community is growing wider and wider. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you this moment is to briefly highlight exactly what the target is all about and the value. My colleagues have already been able, especially for the Commonwealth Master's Program, to say the people who are being targeted for this scheme are the talented and the motivated one. But for the Commonwealth PhD, I will take a step further to say the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission is looking out for high quality graduates, those who have the potential to undertake groundbreaking empirical research in a development area. And also they are targeting individuals that are willing and ready to take up leadership responsibilities and research roles in their respective countries upon return. What is the value of this scholarship? Before you get into something, is for you to understand, it's best for you to understand what is the value of that thing. From the value, you will be able to attach the importance to the application process. And beginning with it, you have the fact that the Commonwealth PhD Scholarship, you have tuition free, which your tuition is going to be covered. You're going to have access to a stipend, very rich. If you are married and you have up to 3 children, those children and your wife, they will be provided with family allowance. So it's more like a big time job, guys. And you also have a research support grant that is made available to you. I've decided to put ETC because there are so many other benefits, including conferences. If you want to attend conferences in different parts of the world, there is a minimal allocation that has been made available for that. So the value should be telling you about the energy you need to put into the application process. Like my co-panelists have been able to indicate, it is not something you're just going to get up one morning and you think that you want to get through the process. You have to take it as a project and move from one stage to the other in a very coherent and robust manner. I will move on to what are the basic preliminaries when you want to make your application for the PhD, Commonwealth PhD Scholarship. I've decided to put it into phases. The first phase, which is going to be the core of it all, you need to begin by drafting your research proposal. Remember that at this level, it is mainly self-directed. You need to be in control of the entire process. So what is the research area that you are interested in? If you are thinking about a research area in the area of climate change, food security, gender and development, think about that one small thing within that context, within that sector, and build your research proposal around that. When you draft your research proposal, please, there are certain things you need to pay attention to. Identify your choice university, and each of these choice universities, find out if these universities have a particular format for their research proposal. If they do, please make sure that you follow the format and the particular guidelines that have been given for you when preparing the proposal. Without much ado, I will be skipping to the point where I will say in each of these choice universities, maybe 3 universities or 4 universities, but know that in the application portal, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission will only permit 3 universities to get into the system. But you are allowed to apply for up to a certain number of universities, depending on how you can spread your opportunities. In each of these choice universities, please try to scout out for supervisors, because having a supervisor is a critical winning point for the application process. If you don't have a supervisor, it will be difficult for you to go through the application process, because one of the supporting documents, which I will highlight at the end, will need to come from your potential supervisors in the host universities. The next thing after scouting out and agreeing with a potential supervisor is for you to activate the application process. When you activate the application process, please pay attention to the particular program that you have chosen. Almighty, and like the other panelists indicated, you don't have to choose programs that are so disconnected. Choose programs that are closely aligned to one another from different universities. That will make a lot of sense, because the panel will also be judging from the logic of your work. The next thing that you need to do, I prefer, my co-panelists have been talking about the need for references, but I come in to add some keywords to what a reference should be at the PhD level. I'm saying that you need to secure irresistible and high impact references. These are the kind of references that they speak about you. These are the references that when somebody is reading, the person is able to situate you, the applicant, in the recommendation. The next phase of the application process is getting nominated. Though I have structured it in phases, what exactly you need to do is to program yourself in a way that these phases can be moving somehow concurrently, but know that each one is leading to the other. Getting nominated is very important. The last speaker did mention all of this, and I will not go back to that to say it, but if you are not from Cameroon, check out in your host country at the level of the ministries, which ministry is particularly concerned about nomination. And then there are also non-governmental organizations that you need to look up to. The third phase of it all is drafting your application proper. And the first thing you need to do, the last panelist talked about the 6 thematic areas. But at the level of the PhD, you are not constrained to link your application process to all the 6 thematic areas. You are advised to choose one outstanding thematic area and be able to talk about that thematic area in line with your application process. What is your essay? How is your essay connected to that particular thematic area? For me, in particular, I talked about social inclusion and diversity, and how my work related to that particular theme. I could exemplify that based on what I wanted to communicate. The next thing after connecting your work with the CAT Commonwealth thematic areas is to link your application, one, to the global development agenda. In this case, we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals. For my application, since my area of research was pinning down on school feeding programs, working on examining the contribution of homegrown school feeding to poverty reduction among smallholder farmers. So from the title of my research, you can already begin to picture which of the Sustainable Development Goals Mickey focused on. The first thing, since I'm talking about homegrown school feeding, the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which touched on quality education, was my outstanding Sustainable Development Goal. The second priority Sustainable Development Goal was zero hunger, which is SDG number 2. The third is no poverty, which is SDG number 1. So in essence, the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission will be requesting you to choose the 3 priority Sustainable Development Goals that can support your application. In that case, please choose your Sustainable Development Goals diligently, asking yourself, how are they connected to your research proposal? The next thing is to look about they talk about the continental plan. In this case, I'm talking about Africa Vision 2063. I won't emphasize on that, but try as much as possible to connect your essays to this particular vision. The next is the National Development Agenda. Those who are coming from Cameroon, you will talk about Vision 2035. If you are from Malawi, what is the National Development Agenda for your country? If you are from Zimbabwe, what is the national development agenda? So you need to cue in that direction. The next thing you need to do, which is very important, is to scale your development impact. Odile already mentioned that. What is going to change as a result of this scholarship scheme? If you are given the opportunity, what is going to particularly change? I will skip out of that to talk about your objectives during the award. The Commonwealth Scholarship Commission at the level of the PhD is very keen to know what will be happening to you during the scholarship if you have been given the scholarship within the tenure while studying for the program, while conducting your research, what exactly will be happening. To Mickey, I simply indicated that within this period, one of my objectives will be to gain robust knowledge and skills in the area in which I am interested in this case, food security. I also indicated that I will harness credible networks that I will be able to use either while in the course or after the course program. I'll be able to utilize this network that I'll build. For research candidates, please, it is particularly important for you to note that the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission will be interested to know if joining a research cluster as part of your ongoing research journey while in the UK is something that you are considering. And then above all, you need to think about the possibility of indicating with them that one of your objectives is to volunteer with sector-related agencies that are directly connected to your work. Now, revealing your career plan is very important. Unlike the master's application and the chevening, that they will limit you to just say long-term plan. For the PhD level, they will categorize it for you to talk about your career plan 5 years following the award. For me, I simply indicated my plan into 2 categories. Make sure you structure your work. When you structure your work, it gives room for easy understanding. In this case, I talked about the first 3 years that I will be able to pilot my work, the findings of my work coming from the exploration of few realities. And the second 2 years, the last 2 years, I will be looking forward to join a faculty to enhance research efforts in the area of food security. Here, please, a word of something for you to note is that do not try to mention a lot of things that you want to achieve within the next 5 years. Mention just very few and expand on them and show the feasibility of those career plans. The next thing that you need to consider is your long-term plan, walking the panel into the distant future. If people look at you, the person reading your application, can they see a future in your application? For me, I want to emphasize on the return on investment. Commonwealth Scholarship Commission want to invest in the future that is kind of found in you. And for this reason, you need to indicate what exactly is going to be happening with you in the long term. For me, I indicated 3 critical areas that I'm going to be fitting myself in the long term. First, in the area of research, since my area of research touched on homegrown school feeding, which is promoted highly by World Food Program, I indicated that in the long term, I look forward to joining the World Food Program Center for Excellence Against Hunger, and which is something very connected to my application. Also, I indicated the aspect of training and consultancy that I will be able to provide technical advice to development agencies in the sectors in which I find myself. The next thing, after talking about your long-term career plan, you need to talk about provide the compelling reasons for the choice of your university. They may take this lightly for the master's level, but for the PhD level, they want to be sure that the university you are choosing, you have a rationale for that particular university. You may want to say that the particular university prepares students for a global career. You may want to say this university inspires a generation of industry leaders. You may want to say this university...
Sorry, Gilbert, you have 3 more minutes to wrap up, please. Thank you.
You may want to say this university provides a groundbreaking research, and you may want to say this university is a destination to international students. All of these are some of the reasons that you want to consider. You can move on to craft your personal statement, and your personal statement is all about you, please. exemplify your voluntary and your leadership experiences. My colleagues have been able to talk about that. It is not very much different. So work on that and you will be able to do. As I move to the end, I want to talk about submission. Please, you must make your application through the online application system. Commonwealth Scholarship Commission does not accept paper-based application. Everything is done online. Your application must include the following documentation. First, a certificate of nationality. They want to be sure that you are coming from that country that is eligible. A copy of your passport. Here, I will emphasize that your passport should be valid at least 6 months. Your transcripts, if you have transcripts from different institutions, please organize them into one file. And then supporting statement from your supervisor. This will be requested directly by CAC, and then 2 references will be solicited directly by CAC. In this, I will come to the end and I will look out for some of the questions that you have on the application process for Commonwealth PhD program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gilbert, for that presentation. My, oh my, applying for a PhD, it's a job on its own. It's not easy. Thank you so much for the tips you've given us. So we see there is one thing that stands out across all the presentations. You need to prepare way ahead of time. You need to have a winning essay. So the essays, guys, it's not something you joke around with because that is what you're being evaluated upon. So if you miss your chance on your essay, you've missed that year, you have to wait for the next year. So work on your essay, your career plans. All through the essays, we've heard about your career plans, how you link them to sustainable development. Gilbert just spoke about SDGs, tying your essays to the SDGs, your country's national development. So those are things you need to consider when you're writing your essay. Remember, someone is trying to sponsor your education, but you need to show them that you're an actor of change so they know there's value for their money while investing in you. So now we've spoken about Commonwealth Scholarship, PhD Scholarship. We are moving on to another scholarship. This time around, I will be presenting the next scholarship, which is Bliss. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can see the screen.
Okay. Is it on? Okay. So I'll be presenting VLIR-UOS Scholarship, which is a master. It's a scholarship offered by the Belgian government. I was a VLIR scholar in 2018-2019. I was offered the scholarship at the master's level to study at the University of Antwerp. So now, guys, this VLIR-UOS Scholarship I'm going to present in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Sit back and listen to a less complicated scholarship to apply for compared to Commonwealth and Chevron. So what is VLIR-UOS? I'm sure like the emoji, you're asking yourself, God, what is this? Well, VLIR-UOS, all through this presentation, I'll tell you what exactly is VLIR-UOS, what are the eligibility criteria, and what is the application process. So what is VLIR-UOS? VLIR-UOS is simply a Dutch word that means Vlaams Interuniversitaire Raad. In English, it's simply the Flemish Inter-University Council that offers scholarship to students, researchers, and development professionals from Belgium to nationals and residents of 31 countries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Of these 31 countries, 19 of them are based in Africa. So, namely Cameroon, Tanzania, Kenya, Malawi, Uganda, Zimbabwe, just to name a few. So the scholarships are offered to study a course, a master's program, a doctoral program, or a short training program in one of the 4 main universities in Belgium: University of Antwerp, University of Ghent, University of Hasselt, and University of Leuven. A course related to sustainable development, so not just any course. So you have 3 different types of scholarship: the international training programs, which offers scholarship for 1 to 6 months, any program. It could be a seminar, it could be a seminar, it could be an exchange program between your university and one of those universities in Belgium, but it should be less than 6 months. I'll leave a link to this program at the end. It also sponsors master's programs, which could be a 1-year or 2-year master's programs. I'll talk about the difference later. And it also sponsors doctoral programs. Now, there's something I want to mention about the PhD program. For you to be a beneficiary for a PhD program, they often prioritize those who benefited either from the ITP program or the ICP programs before. On the contrary, for you to be eligible for the ITP or ICP, you should not have benefited from VLI or any Belgian funding before. So what qualifies you to be a VLI scholar, to apply for this scholarship? Now, VLI, you need to be one of the nationals of its 31 partner countries across Africa, Asia, or Latin America. If you're a resident or national of that country, you qualify, but it doesn't mean you have to be in those countries when you apply. You can be in another country, but you still apply. Now, this is a scholarship that has an age limit. 35 years, this is for the master's program. You have 35 years, you should be maximum 35 years by January, 1st of January, the year of intake, if you're applying for an initial master's, which is a 2-year master program. For this 2-year master program, you apply from your bachelor's degree. It's different. Or you should be maximum 45 years if you are applying for an advanced master's program, which is a 1-year master program sponsored by VLI. And for you to qualify for this master program, you need to have another master's program. So there is a difference in the type of programs VLI sponsors, but you can always know which masters you're applying for by going to the website. You can check University of Antwerp, Ghent, Hasselt, or Leuven. Those are the 4 universities that has the program sponsored by VLI. There are over 15 master's programs that VLI sponsors and 9 training programs. So I'll leave the links at the end for you to see and go through the details. Now, another important criteria is you need to hold relevant experience. Now, remember when Wise was presenting, he spoke about how you could get experience for chevening, how you could volunteer and calculate your work experience. The trick with VLI-UOS is your experience needs to be relevant. What does that mean? It doesn't suffice that you were teaching for 2 years and you count that as 2 years working experience. It needs to be relevant in relation to the course you're doing. If you want to do a course in development or say in governance, do you have the relevant experience in governance for you to do that course? They don't need you to have a just working experience for the sake of it. No, your experience needs to tie with that course. So for each of the courses that you want to apply for, you need to check, probably you check on the website, but remember, if you're applying for a course in international relations, in communications, in development, any course you're applying for, if it's in development management, remember the experience you're presenting to them needs to be experience linked to what you're applying to. It's not just experience for working and so on. And remember, volunteering is also important, but volunteering that is relevant to what you're doing, not just volunteering for the sake of volunteering. Now, another very important criteria is you need to be eligible for admittance into the master's program you are applying for. Why is this important? This is because VLI is a 2-in-1 package, which means you apply to the school and the school nominates you for the scholarship. You do not apply to your school program separately and apply for the scholarship separately, like in the case of Chevron and Commonwealth. With VLI, you choose one of its VLI-sponsored programs, you apply for it, and then the school nominates you for the scholarship and you're awarded the scholarship or not. So I'll take the case of IOB, the Institute of Development Policy, my former university, to explain exactly what that means. Now, the IOB offers 3 different masters, and it's an advanced master's program, which means you need to have a master's degree first to apply for this course. You can't apply for IOB if you have a bachelor's degree. But wait, there is a caveat. You can apply if you have a bachelor's degree in engineering, because engineering degrees, most of the time, the bachelor's degree is 4 years, and you've been taught some research methods within the course of the period of within the 4 years time. But if you have a 3 years bachelor's degree, automatically you're disqualified. You can't apply for IOB. You need a master's degree because it's a research intensive course. It's an MSc. So they are not going to teach you research methods anymore. You need to already know that. Now you need a good command of English, backed by English certificate, arts, TOEFL with some other scores. If English is not your first language, that doesn't exclude you from applying. You can still apply if you get selected, but your applications have to all be in English. But if you apply and you're selected, you get the chance of being offered a 2-week English course, intensive English course, to boost up your English, to train you on how to write your assignments and all that. So it doesn't disqualify you if English is not your first language. You can still do this. The English is not that difficult. It's not the Queen's language. English is not also the first language of Belgium. So you can still apply for this. And then also you need to show proven interest in development issues. Now remember, VLI is sponsoring change actors. It's looking for people that they are investing in, that when they finish and come back, they can be actors of change in their community. So your CV, your essays, whatever you're writing needs to prove your interest in development. That's why they are so keen on you holding relevant experience. They don't just want to see on your CV that you were teaching and then you want to do a course maybe in governance. You need to tie them, show them how you were doing community work, maybe in a council, you were doing volunteering, something that links to whatever it is you want to go and study. Now, if you've gone through, you look through the eligibility criteria and you see you're eligible for it and you tick yes, yes, yes. Now, how do you apply for this scholarship? It's a very simple and straightforward application process. I won't dwell so much about talking about the motivation letter because all the other presenters have told you the importance of your essay. But now you need to understand that with VLI, there is no second chance. You don't have the opportunity of going for an interview where you're shortlisted and someone gets picked over depending on how they sell themselves. It's a one-time opportunity. It's 2-in-1. So your application is what gives you, there is no essay interview after. Make sure your essay is spot on when you want to apply. So to apply for it, it's easy. You go to the website of the university, one of the 4 universities I mentioned, you choose your course. Now you create an online profile and then you start filling it in. You can actually do this in 1 day. When I applied for this scholarship, I did it in less than 4 hours. It's not that difficult. It has just one essay, one essay to fill, not 4 or 5 like the other scholarships. You're asked your motivation for studying that course. Now, this is your selling point for your scholarship, because this has to tie with what you think, the skills you are going to gain and how you use them back. So like Almighty mentioned, go through the course content, link it up with your career goals. I don't want to stress on that anymore because I'll be repeating what the others have said. Now, the applications usually open differently for each university, but in general, they start between September and October when applications open. But the 1st of February of the year of intake is when all applications close, which means if you're applying for VLI this year, 1st of February 2021 is your deadline to submit your online application. You need your CV, your motivation letter, your transcripts, and all that. You fill your application online and you submit. For part 1, you send all your soft copies of your documents. That you can do by yourself. Now, for part 2, you need to submit hard copies of your academic documents. This is for them to cross-check and verify its authenticity. Now, there are 2 deadlines for this. 1st of February and end of May. To submit your hard copies on the 1st of February, most universities will ask you to send a photocopy by post. You post it to the school address, the admission office, and it gets there before the 1st of February, which is the deadline for both the hard and the soft. So if you want to apply for VLIR and you're in Cameroon and you know post takes a long time, you can't afford DHL, you can photocopy your transcripts that you intend to use for the online, and you post in November or October, even if you intend to submit your application in January. It's to ensure that your documents reach the admission office before the 1st of February for you to be considered for the scholarship. If the second deadline is the end of May for hard copies. Now, hard copies that are required by the end of May are usually legalized hard copies. Most universities will not ask this unless you've been offered a scholarship, because legalizing is really expensive. In Cameroon, it's not just the legalization. You put a physical stamp and for 1,000 and a GO or SDO signs. No, this goes through the Belgian consulate or embassy. So it's an expensive process. And this is usually requested for when you've been offered the scholarship, because that cost will be reimbursed to you. Now, once you've submitted your soft and hard copies, you sit back, you wait. By end of May, you check your email. It's usually in May. If you've been awarded a scholarship, you will receive an email from VLIR itself before you receive an email from the school. So once you receive an email from VLIR, it automatically means you've been admitted into your chosen master's program. Remember, you applied to your school and not to VLIR directly. So that's just how applying for VLIR scholarship is. It's a very simple process to apply for. Now, I applied for Chevron and Commonwealth and got shortlisted 2 years in a row. I went to the interview. I stammered through my online profile because I didn't prepare like Wise said. But this is a scholarship I applied at the first time and I got it. It's really easy. If you have a spot on and you're focused on your career goals, you have a spot on motivation letter, using the tips we've been giving you so far, you can actually get this to study one of your dream courses or improve your skills in Belgium. So here are some useful links on the programs that VLIR offers. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Now, after listening to all the presentations on scholarships, maybe you can start reflecting on where is your next destination. Are you going to apply to Chevron and put in all the work to study your next dream course in UK or Commonwealth to do a master's or PhD in UK, or you're going to apply for VLIR? You can apply for all three. You never know. This may be your year to get one. Thank you so much for listening. And now we've come to the end of our presentations on scholarships. We will be taking questions and answers from the participants. So I'll read through the questions that we've been receiving. The first question is, some of the questions I won't read through because it's already been answered. For instance, is there an age limit for this scholarship? If yes, what age? So depending on the scholarship, Wise said there was no age limit for Chevron, Commonwealth as well. I don't know if there was an age limit.
Absolutely, there is no age limit for the Commonwealth Masters and PhD.
Okay. Thank you for that reminder.
There's no age limit for the Chevron.
Yeah, there is no age limit for the Chevron as well, but there is an age limit for VLIR-UOS, as I presented earlier. Wise, please, can you share your screen? The question and answer session, please. Thank you. So there is, for VLIR-UOS, there is 35 years old if you're applying for an initial master's to do a 2-year master course, and 45 years old if you're applying for a 1-year master to do a one-year master course. This is for you, Wise. Thank you, Wise, for your presentation. I want to ask, from what you explained concerning early preparation as way back as GCE O levels, for someone who did not do well at that level, what are the chances for them still getting this scholarship? Wise?
Yeah, well, I mentioned that just in a manner of saying that you need to start preparation very early. It's not to say that if you do not have like the best results at the O levels or A levels, you can get a Chevron scholarship. In fact, there's no criteria that you need to have certain grades at the O or A levels. But in the spirit of excellence, I think that it's at that level that you start building a very strong foundation to ensure that you can have a very good performance at the undergraduate level. So yes, I don't know, depends on where you are now. If you already have your undergraduate degree, that's fine. I think what's most important, besides having a strong education qualification, is really about the leadership, about building that strong profile in terms of giving back. And I think that there are many examples of young Cameroonians that are doing amazing things out there. We have young Cameroonians that are developing software to improve access to health. We have those that are promoting access to justice for thousands of Cameroonians. We have exemplary Cameroonians working in the peace building sector. So choose an area where you can contribute. Do that in an excellent way. Make sure that you strive to be the best in what you're doing. Package that and sell it, and I think that will give you a good chance as well.
Thank you, Wise, for that answer. Now, next question. I wish to find out if there is a maximum period for you to apply if after your BSc or Master's for a scholarship program. Take that you graduated and are engaged in professional work full-time for 2 to 3 years. Gilbert, could you please answer this? Gilbert, are you there?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry, I didn't get that question, Faith.
Is there a maximum period for you to apply after your BSc or Master's degree? After graduation, is there a limit, a time limit, after which you do not qualify to apply? That's what the person is asking.
Absolutely, there is no limit, but what we are emphasizing here that you need to accumulate the relevant experience in addition to your academic qualification. So it's not when you graduated, is how very recent you have graduated or how old it has been. It's just a matter of having the relevant qualification and the relevant experiences that can guarantee your application process.
Okay, thank you. Gilbert, this is still for you. Mostly on the scholarship criteria, it is mentioned that the applicant is not supposed to have studied in the UK or any developed country. So how then is it that you get Chevron and Commonwealth Scholarship? This is for you.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. If we follow the presentation from Almighty and other people like Odile, we would have seen that one of the conditions that you need to fulfill, eligibility condition, is for you to accept that you have to return to your home country for a maximum of 2 years. And if you follow my timeline, you will realize that I had the Chevron Scholarship in 2012, and then I went back for the PhD in 2019, which means I went above the benchmark of 2 years, actually contributing. And that was actually reflected in my application essays, that upon return from Chevron Scholarship, this is what I've been able to do. And now, coming in for the PhD, this is what I think is going to add up to what I've already been able to do as a result of the Chevron Scholarship. So please pay attention more to the timeline. Chevron says return and at least 2 years to be in your country, and after that, you can get back to the field.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Next question goes to, I think this is for me. Okay, someone wishes to find out if the application process for doctoral for VLI is same like master's. No, it is not. To apply for the doctoral scholarship for VLI, you follow the steps Mickey explained for Commonwealth, because you need a supervisor that backs your research program. You simply follow that same process he does, but this time you're applying to VLI. But like I mentioned before, one of the tricks about it is VLI prioritizes those who benefited either from their master's scholarship or their short training programs. But that doesn't mean if you've never benefited, you should not apply. You could still, maybe your year of application, you could be the lucky ones. There are no previous VLI scholars that are applying for PhD. But the application process for the doctorate is similar like that of the Commonwealth. It's not a straightforward, easy process like the master's one. No, it's as complicated as the PhD explained for Commonwealth. Okay, another question about, is there, okay, this is for, I don't know if this is for Chevening or everyone. Chevening, Commonwealth, is it possible to travel with your child if you get a scholarship? For VLI scholarship, I'll talk about for VLI, I don't know, well, Almighty, please, you answer this for Chevening and Odile for Commonwealth. For VLI, if you have your child, before VLI, at first, VLI used to offer dependent grants, but over the years, they stopped it. So if you want to travel with your child, that's at your own expense. They don't stop you from that. You write to the school, you tell them, they give you a document that helps you to get the visa for the child at the embassy. But the cost of your traveling with your child and everything is borne by you, not by VLI, for if you get this scholarship for VLI. Now for Chevening, Almighty, please, can you answer if you can travel with your child if you're offered Chevening scholarship?
If you're offered a Chevron Scholarship, you can definitely travel with your spouse or with your child. But I think it's like VLI. You have to bear all the expenses yourself if you have to travel with any dependent. So I always advise that if you have the scholarship and if you have the means to put together the document, and it's equally very important to talk to your program officer. I mean, the program officer is your focal point at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office when you've got a Chevron or Commonwealth scholarship. So for the Chevron scholarship, yes, you can, but however, it will be at your expense. There is no extra expenditure for that. But I think Mickey did mention that for the Commonwealth PhD, they're able to sponsor, they're able to give you some sort of allowance for up to 3 children. I think he can clarify that.
Yes, Almighty, thank you for passing that over to me. I will say for the Commonwealth PhD, your wife, you can travel with your wife and up to 3 children. Your wife will be entitled to a monthly allowance of £233. Your first child will be entitled to £233 monthly. Your second and the third child will be entitled to £111 monthly. But bear in mind that there are associated costs that comes with bringing your children to the UK or your wife or your husband, because there is what we call health society, which is very expensive. It's like the health insurance within the UK. And you have to pay that as part of the eligibility criteria to go through the visa application process. So remember about the cost related to that. If you fail to bring your wife and your children in the UK, you'll still benefit from that allowance, but at a very reduced scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. Gilbert, before you go, there is a question for you. If you want a PhD scholarship and you are yet to have a master's, for my case, I'm still waiting to defend, can you still apply? Participants are bent on having PhD scholarships. Gilbert.
Apparently, I will advise that candidate to be able to exercise some patience. Usually it pays off when you are able to be fully prepared before you engage. In this case, I will be advising that particular candidate, the person who has posed the question, to wait until you graduate before you activate the process.
Okay, thank you very much. I will take 3 more questions and then we wrap up. So here is a question addressed to me. Can you talk on proof of study? The diploma or certificate is the highest degree that is asked. Okay, in the case of VLI, I am assuming the person is applying because to VLI, what they mean by proof of study is they need all your transcripts and they need your final certificate. You can't apply for VLI if you're still studying. You need to have finished and you have those certificates. If you have, for instance, in my case, I had an attestation which I used. I graduated from University of Chang in 2011, and my actual certificate was issued in 2021, 10 years later. But I used the attestation. You use that, that's why they require your hard copies to check the authenticity of it. Because in the past, they've had cases where people sent fraudulent certificates before. So they actually cross-check with your university to get, to verify if you're actually enrolled and if this is what you have. So don't think you can just photocopy anything and send and then they won't cross-check. No, they will cross-check. VLI actually does that. That's why it has specific countries and specific partner universities actually that they prioritize their graduates. For instance, if you're from Cameroon, from University of Chang, SWA, Boya, and Ngaoundéré, those universities are automatic. I think they have a partnership with them, so it's easy for them to cross-check. But that doesn't mean if you graduated from Siantu, Pan-African Institute of Development, or Katu, you can't apply. You still can apply. If you graduate from these universities, VLI will always cross-check to verify the authenticity of your documents. So I hope I've been able to explain what proof of study means to this participant. Next question. Sorry. I'm trying to read through the questions. Oh, somebody asked, what is the required GPA? For each of the universities, it depends. I can't tell you a GPA of 3.5, a GPA of 4, no. For all the universities, be it Chevening, if you're applying for Chevening Scholarship or university in UK, they all have their minimum criteria. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So when you go to their website, please be patient to read in between the lines to understand what they say, and you give them what they want. Don't listen to hearsays like Odile said. Someone should not tell you, oh, I applied to this scholarship university, I had a GPA of 3 and they took me. Maybe he had something else that backed that up, which you don't. So just go to the website of each university that will give you clear information, direct and correct information. But in most cases, they look for upper class, for students that are upper class or second class minimum for them to be scholarship beneficiaries. Most scholarships look for bright students, but just check on the university website to be sure of what they want. And one final question. Someone asked if Erasmus has been presented. So unfortunately, we couldn't have Erasmus today because we didn't want to have a very long webinar. So we decided to have it as a part 2 of this webinar. We'll present Erasmus in September. So watch out for the 237 development professionals, the page, or wherever you got the link for the invite. Just keep watching out that same place. You'll see the flyers and invite for the next presentation. We will present Erasmus then. And then we are also going to talk about how to approach and get a mentor on writing your A6. It's the scholarship season, guys. We need you guys to be able to go and study and come back and bring some change and development in Africa. We want change makers and leaders. So I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. I will give 1 minute to each of the panelists to do a quick wrap up and a quick take home message they want to give to the participants. We'll start with Wise. The panelists, I'll give you the same order as you presented. Wise, you have the floor, 1 minute. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Faith. Just to say very quickly that for me, while it's important that we are encouraging our friends, fellow compatriots, I also just want to mention that we should keep in mind that the scholarship is only a beginning. To be frank, and this is not to discourage anyone, but it's really about making sure that we all understand what we get into. I know many persons that have had scholarships and at the end of the day came back a little bit disappointed. Disappointed, why? Because when you get scholarships, there's going to be a lot of expectations that is going to be placed on your shoulder. So getting the scholarship is just a first step, and you need to continue in the same for your vision and for the future. Because when you get a scholarship and you study abroad and you see the level of development that exists, for example, in the UK, and then you come back home, and in some cases you have to struggle for a very long time to get a job, and you see some of the difficulties that we have back home. Sometimes it becomes really difficult, and therefore you must be ready to go out there, work very hard, and come back, remain very humble. In case you do not have a job, you should be ready to go back to start with things like volunteerism, internships, and you build from the bottom up. Myself, when I came back, I had a job in Kamku as a project assistant quite a few years back, on a very low pay, I would say, and it was quite difficult because a lot of people said, "Oh, you're from the UK, you studied in London," and there were a lot of expectations, and even yourself, you expect to get a very good job, and sometimes it's really hard. It takes some time. But I think with the support system that we had and the right mentors and coaching, we're able to remain humble, keep working hard while exploring many opportunities that exist and build that profile, and eventually that paid off. I talked a little bit about building that strong profile. It's not just for the scholarship. This is really important. It's also for the world of leadership beyond work. And in my case, when I got back to Kamko and worked for a few years, I can tell you that because of the footprints that I left behind, I got my very first job that I got in international development was as country director in Cameroon. And trust me, that's really rare, but that's because I built a very strong profile, and I really remained focused despite difficult times. So just bear in mind that getting the scholarship is only a beginning, and that there's a lot of hard work that you have to put in even after that process. Thanks very much. Over to you, Faith.
Thank you very much, Wise, for that message. Now we go to Almighty. Take home message to our participants and viewers. Almighty, are you there? Okay, while we wait for Almighty, we can go to Odile.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm there. Thank you. So in addition to what Wise has said, it's not all about having the scholarship, but what do you do with it when you return home? Remember, the scholarship is just fulfilling your short-term goal. So you still have your long-term goals and your aspirations to chase. So it's good to dream big and it's good to dream sustainably. Also, I would like to emphasize that those who are applying, please make sure you go through the application requirements, ask questions when necessary, reach out to a lot of people, reach out to mentors, and just make sure you get the right resources. And one final word I would like to say is that please, application to all of these scholarships is free. It is free. Do not go through any agency. Someone just sent me a private message right now telling me that someone reached out to them saying that they could help them, get the scholarship quicker and faster, that they know how to do this, they have connections and all of that. Like I said, you do not need any middleman. Get the right information, follow instructions, and you'll get the scholarship just like we did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Odile. Guys, remember, like Odile said, you don't need a middleman. You can do this yourself. Put in the work and get the reward at the end. Gilbert, your take-home message, please, to our participants and viewers.
Yeah, just to key off from where Odile has mentioned, the only middleman you should have in this process should be your mentor. Anybody outside of that, please stay away and keep focused on the process. And to bounce back to what I have to say is that as pre-scholars, please develop what Mickey will call your personal and professional development plan. Have that handy because it's going to chart a roadmap for you during and after. And the final talk I want last word I want to say is that please be mindful of the bridges you are crossing now while you are searching for the scholarships, because you will need those bridges when you complete. The fact that you have a scholarship, don't say, I am not a big boy, I'm not a big girl. It's just the beginning. When you finish, the greatest task is when you get through. Personally, when I finished from my master's, the Chevron Scholarship, I had a job to stay back in the UK as a research assistant in one of the institutions. But my professional and development plan dictated the roadmap for me, and I had to return back to Cameroon to volunteer with the Pan-African Institute for Development at a ridiculous salary, for that matter. So, but I was chasing the dreams. Guys, have a plan handy and it will direct you what you will do before, during, and after.
Thank you so much, Gilbert. We have Almighty back. She had internet issues. Almighty, your take-home message to our participants and viewers.
Thank you very much, Faith. My take-home message is simple. Sell yourself. Identify what is your unique selling point, what makes you stand out, and sell yourself, sell yourself, sell yourself. And finally, like Mickey says, the bridges you build now will help you after the scholarship. The scholarship is just the beginning. And feel free if you think that you can tweak your career, your future plans. For example, when I left for the UK, I intended to come back and start a social franchise for access to contraception for people who are physically disabled. However, when I got to the UK, I had a change of plans. I came back and I started a company instead. I decided to, provide healthy options for busy urban professionals. I am still impacting my community through that. So yes, sell yourself, keep reinventing yourself. I know that the scholarship is not an end in itself, it's just a stepping stone. So go out there, sell yourself, and get the funding.
Thank you so much, Almighty, for that powerful message. So ladies and gentlemen, sell yourself. And know, as Wise says, this is what you create your path for a very long time before you get to this point, and after, this is just one step in your career goal. So your expectations may be too high, but when you come back, be rest assured, if you have a clear career path, you can follow that. Remember, you're being awarded a scholarship to come back and be an actor of change. That change doesn't necessarily mean you should have a high-paying job. You could be able to do something that will impact your community in one way or the other. Sorry, my video was off all along. You could be able to impact your community in different ways. Remember, these scholarships are being given to change makers. Before we end our session, I'm going to invite one of the founders of the tutoring development professionals to tell us a little bit in say 5 minutes what the group is all about and what was the motivation behind it. Venetius, if you're ready, you could have the floor.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining this very important webinar. We want to thank the panelists who really took time off to really dish out these important tips for scholarships. We want to thank the panelist / moderator, Ngumfed, who's done a marvelous job. She also doubles as my wife, just so you guys should know. We founded the 237 development professionals to do what we are doing, just to empower Africans to give back to the communities. We realize that Africans most often are known to only receive but not give back. So we wanted to say we want to change the construct by starting to change the mindset of people. We want to build future Cameroonians, future Africans to really go and conquer the world. We do this through webinars, we do this through coaching, we do this through mentoring. So we have a platform that has been shared on Slack. Our WhatsApp group is full. Our Slack group has been shared. If you want to join us, you could join through the Slack group. You could follow us on Facebook. You could also follow our YouTube channel. This webinar will be on our YouTube channel and our Facebook. For those who raise their hands, unfortunately, during our webinars, we don't take questions. We take questions only in the Q&A box. So I want to thank you guys for taking time to be here. I hope the tips are really relevant, and we hope that you will be leaving here with key information that will help you to deliver or put forward the proper application that will give you the scholarships. And please, when you get the scholarships, please come back and tell us. It is very important that we know the impact we are creating. I want to thank the participants once more, and I want to thank all of you, the panelists, for taking time off to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Venetius, for that presentation. Just before we close, you watch out. This will be shared on our YouTube channel. You have the presentations and the recordings. They'll be shared there on Tutoring Development Professional. So you can search on YouTube. You'll find us. Please subscribe to our channels to get updates on that. So this brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for participating. If you go to our link, our YouTube page, you will see all our previous webinars on how to apply for international jobs, how to prepare for job interviews. So once you get your scholarship and you come back your job, you want to get a job, you already have resources we have left for you in the past, how to ace in an interview, how to apply, write a compelling cover letter, prepare your CV and all that. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this webinar. And we look forward to you attending more. Watch out for part 2 of this webinar that will be coming in September, where we are going to talk about Chevron and give you more tips on how to fine-tune your application. And we get the best out of these from all the scholarship beneficiaries that we have in 237. We actually have so many people that benefited from 2 scholarships. So we are actually giving you shared experiences of what we've had. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Presentation. Yeah.
Bye. Bye. Yeah, bye.